Welcome to Money Decoded, where we break down personal finance, one concept at a time. Let's decode today's topic. McKinsey projects that by 2030, AI could automate 30% of hours worked across the US economy. 30%. That's not 30% unemployment. It's 30% of all work hours potentially automated. What happens to an economy when that much labor becomes unnecessary? What happens to wages, consumer spending, tax revenue, social stability? The models show outcomes ranging from uncomfortable to catastrophic. This is the macro perspective on everything we've covered. Let me show you what the projections say and what it means for your financial decisions today. I analyzed economic models from McKinsey, Oxford, MIT, and Goldman Sachs on AI labor displacement scenarios. The consensus range is terrifying. Even the optimistic scenarios show massive disruption. The pessimistic scenarios show economic crisis. Today we're covering the three scenario models, the timeline for each, what breaks in the economy, and how to position yourself regardless of which scenario happens. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Please consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any major decisions. Let me start with the math that defines the scenarios. The US economy has approximately 165 million workers. 30% automation of hours worked equals roughly 50 million full-time equivalent jobs being automated or significantly reduced. 50 million jobs. That's equivalent to every single job in Texas, Florida, and New York combined disappearing. The economic impact depends on how fast this happens and how the economy adjusts. Scenario 1. Gradual adaptation with new job creation. This is the optimistic case. Automation happens over 15 to 20 years, 2025 to 2045. New industries emerge to employ displaced workers. Government implements effective retraining programs. Universal basic income or similar programs cushion the transition. In this scenario, unemployment peaks at 12 to 15% around 2035. Then gradually declines to 8 to 10% as new jobs emerge. GDP continues growing because AI productivity gains offset labor reduction. Wealth inequality increases significantly but doesn't destroy social stability. What this requires: massive government investment in retraining, creation of entirely new job categories we cannot currently predict, and political will to implement redistribution programs. Also requires that AI capability growth slows enough for human adaptation. Probability assessment: 20 to 30%. This is possible but requires nearly everything to go right politically and economically. What it means for your finances: continue building career skills, focus on AI-resistant work, maintain diversified investments, build 12-month emergency fund. Standard disruption preparation works. Scenario 2. Rapid displacement with inadequate adaptation. This is the middle case and unfortunately the most likely. Automation happens over 7 to 12 years, 2025 to 2037. Some new jobs emerge but not enough to absorb displaced workers. Government response is slow and inadequate. Existing safety nets overwhelmed. In this scenario, unemployment reaches 18 to 25% by 2033. Stays elevated for years. GDP growth slows or reverses as consumer spending collapses from job losses. Tax revenues decline while safety net costs explode. Wealth inequality reaches levels unseen since the Great Depression. Social unrest increases. What this scenario looks like: combination of Great Depression unemployment with modern inequality. Millions of middle-class workers permanently displaced into lower-wage service work or unemployment. Corporate profits remain high while labor income collapses. Political polarization intensifies. The social contract between workers and employers breaks down. Probability assessment: 50 to 60%. This is the most likely path based on current trajectory and historical government response speed to labor market disruptions. What it means for your finances: aggressive defensive positioning. Zero debt, 18-month emergency fund, significant cash reserves, investments in physical assets and necessities, geographic flexibility, multiple income sources. Standard preparation is insufficient. Scenario 3. Catastrophic displacement with economic breakdown. This is the pessimistic case. Automation happens over 4 to 7 years, 2025 to 2032. AI capabilities improve faster than expected. Job destruction vastly outpaces creation. Government response completely fails. Social safety nets collapse under demand. In this scenario, unemployment reaches 30 to 40% by 2030. Consumer spending collapses. Housing markets crash in affected areas. Tax revenues collapse while demands on government explode. Potential sovereign debt crisis. Social unrest escalates to breakdown of civil order in some areas. What this scenario looks like: economic depression combined with social crisis. Mass unemployment, widespread poverty, breakdown of normal economic functioning. Government forced to implement emergency measures like universal basic income funded by massive debt or money printing. Hyperinflation possible. Political extremism likely. The economic system as we know it fundamentally changes. Probability assessment: 10 to 20%. Low probability but non-zero. Becomes more likely if AI capability growth continues accelerating and government response remains inadequate. What it means for your finances: survival positioning. Own physical assets that have value in crisis. Diversify internationally. Hold gold and Bitcoin as currency hedge. Have food and supply reserves. Be prepared for potential breakdown of normal economic systems. Now let me show you the common elements across all three scenarios. These are things that happen regardless of which path we're on. Common element 1. Wealth inequality explodes. In every scenario, the gap between capital owners and labor sellers increases dramatically. AI benefits accrue to people who own companies and assets. Labor income stagnates or declines. This is structural, not temporary. If you own AI companies, you win. If you sell labor to AI companies, you lose. Common element 2. Consumer spending patterns shift dramatically. As labor income declines, spending on discretionary items collapses. Spending on necessities becomes larger share of budgets. This destroys certain industries while protecting others. Industries that suffer: luxury goods, leisure travel, discretionary retail, entertainment, restaurants, anything requiring consumer confidence and disposable income. Industries that survive: essential food, basic housing, healthcare, utilities, anything people cannot eliminate from budgets. Common element 3. Government debt explodes. As tax revenues decline from job losses and safety net costs increase, government deficits grow massively. This leads to either austerity, money printing, or combination. Both have severe economic consequences. Austerity deepens unemployment. Money printing risks inflation or hyperinflation. Common element 4. Geographic inequality increases. Some cities and regions adapt successfully. Others collapse. AI-resistant areas thrive. AI-disrupted areas face property value crashes and population exodus. The divide between winning and losing regions becomes stark and permanent. Common element 5. Generational wealth transfer accelerates. Older generations with accumulated assets are largely protected. Younger generations entering labor markets face permanent income suppression. Inheritance becomes primary wealth-building path for many. Social mobility decreases dramatically. Here's what these scenarios mean for your personal financial decisions. Decision 1. Prioritize assets over income if possible. Labor income is under structural pressure in all scenarios. Asset ownership is protected or benefits. Any way to shift from earning labor income to owning income-producing assets moves you to the protected side. Decision 2. Build defensive positions appropriate to most likely scenario. Scenario 2 is most probable. That requires zero debt, 18 months expenses saved, investment in real assets and AI-resistant sectors, geographic flexibility, multiple income sources. Decision 3. Don't assume government will save you. Even in scenario 1, government programs arrive late and imperfectly. Your personal preparation must assume minimal government support. Review your current financial position. How much is labor income versus asset income? If it's 90% labor and 10% assets, you're on the wrong side of this trend. Next time on Money Decoded, we're doing the personal math. How much money will you specifically lose to AI in the next 5 years based on your current income and job category? Bring a calculator because the numbers are going to shock you. 30% job automation by 2030. 3 scenarios ranging from difficult to catastrophic. Prepare for scenario 2, hope for scenario 1. And that's how this works. If this helped you understand money better, subscribe for weekly financial deep dives. Thanks for watching.